Hey guys, welcome to the Louie Herron Podcast. Well, I tell you, I have been in the midst of moving and it's been a challenge to say the least. And so last week I didn't drop an episode, which is 100% excuse making. Totally defies the purpose of expansion, not contraction, which is what I employed last week. So forgive me, my listeners, guys that tune in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, this is Louie Herron. If you've never heard my podcast, thank you so much. We talk about leadership, sales, business, and life's lessons. And I just wanted to up front just take ownership and personal responsibility that I let you guys down. I let myself down. I allowed the circumstances to overwhelm my situation. And really, if you think about it, that key lesson for me, and hopefully you guys can relate and understand, is when we allow circumstances, anything on the outside, to dictate the things we've committed to on the inside, that is a frame-breaking moment. Back in episode number 3, I talked about affirming the frame and making sure your frame is solid. And the frame, what encloses the frame is all your values, the things you stand for, the commitments you make to yourself. And again, I definitely don't want to come across as if I have 100% integrity with myself. I think we all struggle. I can tell you from my own personal experience. Look, it's the hardest thing in the world to make sure when you make commitments to yourself, most importantly, before you ever make them to anybody else, you make them to yourself and you stick to them. Every time I stick to a commitment that I said I was going to do, I get stronger. I get better. Every single time you stick to a commitment you said you were going to do, you get stronger and you get better. So look, this is going to be, I believe, a transformational episode. Again, I want to dive into the psychology of leadership, and I want to explore the benefits of becoming an effective leader, not just like at the workplace, but in all areas of your life. Obviously, starting out with yourself, like I just alluded to, right? It's your body, being, balance, and business. Those are the 4 core areas that you hear me talk about all the time. But whether you're leading a team at work or guiding your family at home or just striving to be a role model in the community, again, I think this episode will have provide some actionable steps and insights that I think will help you lead with confidence and empathy. Now, some of us that are in a leadership role, we struggle with that empathy, right? Because there's that side of ego. And again, I'm coming from my vantage point, not speaking this onto you guys, but maybe you can relate that empathy is a very strong tool as a leader. And I think again, think about it, leader in the home, empathy with your children, empathy with your spouse, right? Sometimes even having empathy with yourself, right? Not beating yourself up on decisions and choices that you've made that were not good. And you've got to employ some empathy. And then also lead with confidence. Have both of those characteristics, I think, are critical. So hopefully, as I share some valuable content, it'll resonate with you, equipping you guys with the tools to enhance your leadership skills and making a lasting impact. Now, leadership, again, is not just a people thing, right? We've got to lead ourselves and again, have those characteristics and those mindsets, those habits that really generate the things that are most important to us as we build our lives moving forward. So as we get into this, I really want you to really have the vantage point of understanding the importance of the psychology behind leadership. Now, again, just a quick little anecdote, I guess, from my own leadership journey, the psychology. Think about this for a moment. And again, the psychology, the thinking process of how you, me, all of us are going to lead a team of people, a group, to have synergy, congruency, to move in the same direction, whether that's in your home, whether that's in your workplace, or whether that's within yourself, right? We've got to look at the psychology. And this is where it gets kind of crazy because when you understand kind of like basic psychology, to me, especially in the game of business or sales, psychology is understanding what the other person is thinking before they have a chance to actually utilize it as an objection for you or to voice it to you. You have to it's kind of that deductive reasoning, right? You kind of like I grew up in South Florida in Miami, right? And it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out when I'm sitting, on the corner of Martin Luther King and I see a car pull up and a guy walk up. I'm not around it. I can see it from afar. But my deductive reasoning skills, the psychology, I have an understanding of what's going down right now, right? And so a lot of times you have an understanding of what's going down in your business. You don't have to be right there, but you can smell it, you can see it, you can feel it, whether it's the tension in the building, whether it's the energy, the frequency, the vibe that people are giving off. I think you all know where I'm coming from, and that's no different when you walk into your home and maybe your spouse has a different energy, right? The psychology behind leading and understanding leadership growth is personal growth. So as we grow personally, we have the ability to lead with confidence and have empathy towards others and help inspire them to achieve higher marks to for themselves to get better, right? So, and I remember when I would operate car dealerships and really understand the value of convincing, persuading, and motivating and inspiring leadership, right? There's a fine line of telling somebody what to do, right? Telling them how to do it, convincing and persuading them the benefits of doing it, but most importantly, the with them. What's in it for me? For that individual or that team of people you are leading, what's in it for them? The psychology behind understanding what's important to them is massively critical, right? So if you look at the definition of the psychology of leadership, it's basically just a field of study that explores psychological traits, behaviors, and characteristics of effective leaders, right? So we're trying to get better traits, better behaviors, better characteristics that are consistent in making certain that we can do the things that we need to do on a daily basis to help lead and guide the people that we're working with or the household that we're involved in. So let's talk about some actionable steps that can enhance some leadership skills. Number one, we've got to develop a keen sense of self-awareness. Before we can lead others, obviously we've got to lead ourselves. And again, I'm not coming from a position of I've got it all licked. I do not. I am constantly in self-awareness mode. So the first point I will tell you is to conduct a self-assessment of your strengths and your weaknesses. There are times, guys, where I've got to literally step back when things aren't going in the right direction, and I've got to grab pen and paper, and I've got to figure out, okay, hold on. What's going on? Where am I now? Think about this. If I'm trying to get from point A to point B, I'm trying to raise revenue, raise sales, reduce expenses. Point A is where are you now? This is a self-assessment. Same thing with self-awareness. Where are you now? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Where are you now? Financially, in your health, in your body, in your relationship, with your marriage, with your children. Where are you now? The only way you can develop that self-awareness, you've got to put pen to paper. You've got to actually think this through. The other thing that I think most leaders have frowned away from and not done as frequently as they could, I don't know if it's ego, I don't know if it's a sense of inferiority or being too vulnerable, but seek feedback from your colleagues, friends, and family. Right? So again, part of developing self-awareness is how do other people see you? Because how you see yourself is not how others see you sometimes. And I know you would agree with that. I know I fell into that tons of times where I see myself a certain way, but other people are like, no, 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 Louie, no, no, no. That's not what you do. That's not how you act. That's not, and it's tough to hear that feedback sometimes. But I think literally if you conduct a self-awareness of your strengths and weaknesses, where are you now? Point A to point B. How am I going to get to point B? Utilizing feedback from colleagues, associates, your family members, your spouse, your friends, people that know you. They see you in the good moments. They see you in the bad moments. This is an opportunity where they can praise your strengths, but they can also point out the weaknesses that will allow you to grow. The other thing about self-awareness that I think in developing it is practice mindfulness and reflective thinking, right? I always say, don't think it, but ink it. Write down, process things that are going on. A scenario just happened at work. You just had something at work. We talk about it. We had a meeting about it. It's over. It's done. Do you take the time to write that down and date it to make sure this doesn't come up again? Right? That's reflective thinking. That's processing it, to really analyzing yourself, how you handled it. What was the outcome? What was the end result? Right? We're talking about the psychology of leadership, and that's part of it, guys, is learning and growing from every experience that you go through. The other thing about practicing mindfulness, believe it or not, from self-awareness, if you just take the time to slow down and take the time to meditate, take the time to get into a steam room, a sauna, and just think. Take the time to be in prayerful meditation. Again, this is something that I work on, and it doesn't come easy for me to practice mindfulness. I am restless. I am wired wide open. I don't like to sit still. I am constantly thinking. It takes me a minute to go to bed. If any of you can relate, I'm with you. However, in developing the self-awareness that I need, in developing the self-awareness that you need to help you, I think the mindfulness is a huge piece. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about is cultivating emotional intelligence. Now, again, I think this was episode 11. I talked about emotional intelligence briefly, but as a leader, strategies to improve your emotional regulation, guys, this is huge. What do I mean by emotional regulation? Well, quite frankly, when somebody pisses you off, how do you handle that? Right? How quick How are you dealing with, as we would call in the business world, I don't like dealing with stupid people, dumb people. Well, that's very subjective. The person you may think is stupid may be very bright in some areas. Maybe they don't have a lot of common sense. Either way, that frustrates you. So, strategies to improve your emotional regulation, right? Because typically, when we have a problem with somebody, it's really something that's within us. And for us to step back and really analyze that and own that can be a challenge. And I know it can be, especially as a leader, right? The other thing is having techniques for active listening and effective communication skills. Guys, I do not need to tell you how important this is. The greatest analogy you have, those that have partners that are married, that are in relationships, active listening, effective communication, the lack of those two things can absolutely crush a marriage, can crush a relationship. It does the same thing in the workplace. Why? Because we're so consumed when we're in a conversation of what we're going to say, we don't take the time to actually sit there and seek to understand, then be understood. Let me understand. Let me hear what you're saying. Let me replay back to you. This is what I heard you say. Am I correct in what I heard? And then you can have the chance to respond effectively. This is like, if I have to say a challenge for me, I have struggled and struggled, whether it's personally or even in business. Again, I know myself. I'm fast. I'm quick. I think I have all the answers. And if you're in business and you're a leader and you own a company, I'm sure you understand exactly where I'm coming from. You do have the answers. You have been effective. You have gotten yourself to the top guy, the VP, the CEO. You are the man, the woman. You are operating and running chief financial officer, the chief operating officer. I get it. You are owed that respect internally as well as from others. It doesn't mitigate that your listening skills or my listening skills or my communication skills may be lacking. So again, just cultivating that emotional intelligence of just understanding the regulation and the listening and effective communication skills. The other thing is to continue to build strong interpersonal relationships. Having this dialed in, I think all three of those things are important. Now, when we're talking about leadership, psychological leadership, guys, this to me, this is like one of the biggest things I would share when I'm consulting with general managers or dealer principals for automotive space, because that's my field. However, I think it's the same in business, is set a clear vision and goals. And I don't mean you just post them once. I mean, you've got to actually define your vision for leadership in all different areas of your life. Right. So when I say set a clear vision and goals, not only in the workplace, I mean for yourself. And I know this may sound laborious. Like I don't have the time to do that. I've got kids. I'm with you. I'm with you. But I would dare to say that a lot of business owners are married and have relationships and have children and also have their business and still get this done. Some of the greatest leaders, some of the greatest business owners that you know or know of or you see have the ability to do this properly. And I'm encouraging you and I'm encouraging myself the same exact thing. I think it's important to establish some short-term stuff and some long-term. But again, in communicating this to your team, this is the most effective thing. I'll give you a great example. When I was operating car dealerships, every single Monday morning, every single department head was in a manager meeting at 8:30 every single Monday morning. It was parts, it was service, it was accounting, it was general sales manager, used car manager, sales manager. If I had a general manager, which was rare, I had someone acting as one time, but for the most part, whoever the leader is, right? And then the internet manager. Okay, all those people are in the room, okay, and every single Monday, we're going around the room discussing every department and reflecting back on the goal that we had, the vision that we had for that particular month, and how the results and how the week has gone, that course correction of that week. This is just one small thing, but when we're talking about defining the vision for leadership, we're talking about the psychology of leading. Everyone's got to be on the same page and understand clearly. And in most establishments, guys, whether it's advertising campaigns, man, most sales associates don't even know what's going on, let alone how to explain it, right? When we're talking about vision or goal for, a huge company on the results for sales and revenue, the whole staff doesn't know what's going on in most cases. Some do. The point is set clear visions and goals. The other thing I want to cover real quick is leading by example, the importance of authenticity and integrity. As the leader, this doesn't mean you're mistake free. This means when you make a mistake, you authentically share it with your staff. I remember I had a sales meeting one time where I felt like I made a wrong decision on changing a pay plan. I went 30, 45 days and disrupted the whole sales staff. I had to call everybody into the sales office, everybody into the sales meeting, and I had to literally authentically say, guys, I'm owning it. I made a mistake. I'm changing it back to the way it was. I made a mistake. But I want to share with you exactly my thinking and my thoughts on why I made the change to begin with and the end result to that. My point is, as a leader, a lot of times we've got to take, a 100% an authentic look. And when you make a mistake, you go so far with your team when they look at the guy or the woman, the ones running the place, to genuinely be one of them. You know what? I made a mistake. That's a psychology of leadership, owning it and having the integrity where they know you're human. They know you're just like them. Just because you have the title, they know you're a real person and they respect that. And actually, they grow closer to you when you do that. In leading by example, demonstrating consistency between the words and the actions. Guys, this is not like rocket science, right? Whether you're in a marriage or whether you're working with your children, I always say a lot of times, we tell our kids to do X, Y, and Z. Be on time, look sharp, do this, do that. How many times do we not do the same things that we preach to our kids, right? And I'll tell you who will call that out. Your wife or your husband will call that out in a heartbeat, right? When you're talking one thing, but your actions aren't lining up. I've been in that boat, right? So it's important when we're talking about leading by example, it's consistency, discipline, consistency, your words and your actions. As a leader, if we're consistent and we're disciplined and our words match our actions, guys, people will follow you to the ends of the world. They will follow you forever because they can trust you. They can count on you. You're authentic to admit when you make a mistake. And the other thing I will say is encouraging a culture of accountability. When you hold yourself accountable, again, a lot of people think when you have policy in your business, policy means policing, which means micromanagement, which means accountability. You as a leader have to really identify what level of accountability do we need to have in our facility, but I got to have something. And that's no different with yourself. What kind of accountability do you have with yourself? You got to police yourself, right? Whether it's what you eat, how often you go to the gym, are you getting your steps in, or are you going to the doctor regularly? Are you all the things that are not work related, and then all the things that are work related? So all of these things I think we all are involved in. Two last things that I think are really, really important is fostering a positive environment. If you are a leader, I want you to ask yourself this question. Are you positive? Do you lean on the side of positivity or are you negative? Is everything you say criticize? Is it cynicism? Is everything you say sarcastic? Is everything just think about how you operate and communicate with your people, with your team, in your house. Are you positive? Is your energy, is your frequency giving off the vibes, the vibration of encouragement and success and that attitude? I mean, creating a supportive and an inclusive atmosphere for everything you're engaged in. Recognizing and rewarding achievements. This is all part of a positive environment. Encouraging collaboration and teamwork. Breaking people up in teams, giving them functions as teams, acknowledging the team did a great job, and rewarding them. That's all part of a positive environment. And as a leader, dealing with the psychology of leadership, these are the small things that if you just step back, I think if you can employ some of these things, right? I would suggest if you're driving right now, but man, re-listen to this podcast. Take a few notes and just look at yourself. As a leader, what am I doing? Where can I get better? On a scale of 1 to 10, with all the things that I'm communicating, 1, you're not doing great at all. 10, you're crushing it. You're killing it. Find out, are you 3s, 4s, 2s, 7s? And obviously the ones that are really down low, you've got some opportunity to work through. So again, I think it's extremely important as we talk about the psychology of leadership. And I know you guys as a whole understand where I'm coming from, because if you're in operations, right, and you're really working on all the things that make a difference and make an impact in your organization, all these things come into play, right? So again, empowering and inspiring other people's is critical with delegating the responsibilities effectively, providing opportunities for growth and development. I can't help but think I've got in the automotive space, I've got the Sales to CEO program. And again, it's a sales training program on how to teach salespeople to sell 40 and 50 cars a month. But really, it's also showing people how to go to the next level, growth and development. In the process of you growing and developing, you may not get to the next level, but guess what happens to your production when you're focused on growth and development? As a leader, I have to provide opportunities for people to see in their mind's eye that they've got a crack at this. If they put in the extra effort, if they put in the extra time, we can inspire others through our own passion and dedication to help them get to the next level. So guys, listen, I hope this has been effective for you. I could go on and on where I think really, some practical tips and tools, recommend certain books, courses, materials, things of that nature. But guys, leadership development is personal development. If we're going to get better, if we're going to lead better, if we're going to become better, starting with ourselves, I just want to encourage you and love on you that, look, God made you unique to anybody else in this world. Look, we are so fortunate. You could have been born as a damn monkey. You could have been born as a damn flower, but you were born here as who you are to do something specifically designed that no one else on the planet can perform but you. Now, yes, people can make money like you. People can be as good of a salesperson like you. People can be a business owner like you. There is no one, never in the planet will ever be like you. I want to encourage you to take your leadership skills to a next level, to learn and know how you can grow yourself to be the optimal version of yourself that you have yet to see. I'm striving for that every day. I want to encourage you guys. If nobody's told you you're a badass, you're fucking unbelievable, I'm telling you, you are. If no one's told you they love you, your brother loves you, man. I want to encourage you to be the best you can be. I know it's in you. Guys, thank you for listening. Again, for more content and information on anything with leadership, sales, personal development, go to louieherron.com. If I can help you in any way, I'd love to you can reach out via the website. And again, guys, until the next episode of the Louie Herron Podcast, I hope you have a fantastic week. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Louie Herron Podcast.